Hey y'all, Mr. Smith here with another video example. So in this video example, they ask in which graph does the shaded region rep- represent the solution set for the inequality shown below. So all we're going to do is match this inequality here with the appropriate graph. So the easiest thing to identify is either going to be the x-intercept, the y-intercept, the slope, and the shading. If you can identify those things, you can kind of eliminate what answer choices are correct and what answer choices are incorrect. Um, so we're actually going to start with the x-intercept. So if you remember from your learning from before, remember x-intercept, y is always equal to 0. That's always true about the x-intercept. So we can use the cover up method. We can use the cover up method and we can cover this up because that becomes 0, right? And we're left with 2x is less than 4. And now we can divide both sides by 2. And we get x is less than 2. So I can look at all of these and I can tell that every single one has an x-intercept of 2. So that doesn't really help us eliminate anything. So now that we have found the x-intercept and know how to find the x-intercept, now let's try and find the y-intercept. So I'm going to delete that work that I have just to have more room. Of course, when you do it, I would keep that work just so that you have that to validate your work and your teacher can also see the work that you have put forth. So it's going to find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, remember, x is always equal to 0. So this whole x, we use the cover-up method, and we're left with negative y is less than 4. So we divide both sides by a negative, and we're going to end up with y. Remember, when we divide by a negative, we flip the sign. And 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. So we get y is greater than negative 4. So from this, we can tell that we have a y-intercept of 4 in this graph, which is wrong. So it cannot be that one. We have a y-intercept of 4. It can't be that one. And again, the reason why we know this, the y-intercept, is because where it touches on the y. On this one right here, these last two, we can't really tell, right? But we can assume that the further we go down, that we would eventually cross at negative 4. And the same thing in this one. We can assume that it would eventually cross at negative 4 for my y. So the only difference between these two graphs is going to be our shading. So for our shading, we always look at the sign of our y-intercept. So since we have a greater than sign, we know that this is above the line. So here would be above. They did not shade that side. When I look at this one, they did shade above it. So this answer choice D would be my answer for this one. Another thing just to note, even though we know the answer is D, is that since there's no line underneath it, it's not a greater than or equal to, it has to be that dashed line, which we have. If there was a line, then that's when we have a solid. So definitely use these pieces to help you solve the problems that are at the bottom of the page. Hope this video helped.